Hey guys, welcome to another top 10 list. And for this top 10 list, I'm going to be talking about top 10 movies that should be more popular. Yeah, when I say that, I mean most of these movies on the list are very well received films and they are all good films. Some of them may be underrated, but what I'm trying to say is that they should be more popular than they are, as if some of them aren't talked about a lot. But they should be and be given a little more respect. And the fact that they aren't is a little annoying. So I'm here to give them the respect they deserve. So let's get to it. Top 10 movies that should be more popular. And before top 10 list, here are some honourable mentions. And my honourable mentions are Tron, Tango and Cash, The Rescuers Down Under, the BFG 2016 version, Lightyear, Silverado, Rise of the Guardians, Arthur Christmas, Dinosaur, and Hugo. All good films that should be more popular. Very close, but could have made the top 10 list. But what did make the top 10 was my number 10, which is The Nice Guys. One of the best Shane Black films and one of the best comedies of the 2010s. One of my favourite 2016 films too. Both Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling are terrific in this film. They both kick ass when solving cases. Shane Black's direction is great, and sadly, it didn't do that well at the box office when it came out. And still to this day, not enough people talk about it. I know it's not as popular as like Lethal Weapon, but it should be. Because no one saw this movie when it came out, and not enough people are giving it a watch, we never got a sequel. Which sucks, because this movie was great. It was funny, raunchy, didn't care about political correctness, and overall, I love it, and please check it out if you haven't yet. Number 9 is Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Definitely one of the most underrated Disney films. Very good film, directed by the same directors of Beauty and the Beast and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and written by Joss Whedon himself. I like its very interesting story about discovering the world of Atlantis and defending it from the evil. I like the characters too, such as Milo James Thatcher and Princess Kida, voiced by Michael J. Fox and Chris Summer respectively. The animation is great and it needs to be more popular. Sure, it's not a traditional animated musical like most of Disney's other popular films like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin and others, but it's still a cool and fun fantasy sci-fi adventure film. Number 8 is Insomnia. Insomnia is a psychological thriller film directed by Christopher Nolan, and it's super underrated. Anytime people talk about Christopher Nolan, they talk about the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, and Oppenheimer, but this one doesn't get talked about a lot, and it should be. It's a great film. Al Pacino, Robin Williams, and Hilary Swank are all fantastic in this film. It's a story about a guy who goes to Alaska to solve a murder case, and he has insomnia. I've talked about this movie a little more before, so I think more people need to watch it. Anyways, number 7 is the Fright Night, original and remake. Put these both as a tie because they're both fantastic films, and at the moment I can't decide which one I like more, so I'll decide on that when I do an original versus remake in the future. I can't now because Halloween's over, but both are really good vampire horror comedy films that are very underrated and have gained a cult following over the years. I'll talk about them more maybe in an original versus remake video that I'll try and do in the future, but maybe next Halloween season, but definitely check them out if you haven't yet. Number 6 is Treasure Planet, another great underrated Disney film that has gained a cult following just like Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and I love this movie. I think it tells the Treasure Island story in an interesting way, like how it's more of a sci-fi adventure style. I think the voice acting is great, especially from Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jim Hawkins, Martin Short as Ben, Emma Thompson as Captain Amelia, and Brian Murray as Long John Silver. And I'm glad this movie has gained a little more love over the years, but it could do with a little more since I've heard some people saying that it's not interesting, or there's just other versions of the Treasure Island story that told the story in a more superior way, and I respect your opinion, but strongly disagree. I don't think you understand how good the movie is, considering how it did get an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature that year, and I think it should be considered one of Disney's more popular films. Please don't remake it. I know Disney, I know you're still doing live action remakes of the animated classics, but do not do it for this one. Anyways, number 5 is Tombstone, one of my favourite Western films ever. It's got a great story that's loosely based on the real events. Great cast, like you got Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Charlton Heston, Billy Bob Thornton, Thomas Hayden Church, and several others. The characters are awesome, and I think this should be one of the more popular Western films ever. If you're missing out if you haven't seen it, go and see Tombstone. Anyways, number 4 is Explorers. Explorers is a great sci-fi coming-of-age film directed by Joe Dante, and it's about these 3 kids who build a spacecraft to go on this adventure to outer space. Both Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix in their first film roles give very good performances. The aliens are very cool. It's definitely one of the most overlooked 80s films that I recommend checking out. It's a fun time. Number 3 is a tie between Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. Again, love both of these movies, so I had to put them as a tie, but love the original Blade Runner from 1982. It's one of Ridley Scott's best films. Harrison Ford gives one of his best performances as Rick Deckard. I love its deep, gritty, and profound sci-fi story. It has one of the best movie endings ever, and the sequel is also excellent. Denis Villeneuve did a great job directing it with amazing cinematography, editing, sound, storytelling, good performances as well from good new performances from Ryan Gosling, Robin Wright, and Jared Leto. Both movies are masterpieces that I think should be more popular. Anyways, number 2 is The Prince of Egypt. Definitely one of the greatest animated films I've ever seen, and one of DreamWorks' best movies. It's a fantastic biblical film about the story of Moses, has an incredible voice cast such as Val Kilmer, Ralph Fiennes, Michelle Pfeiffer, Sandra Bullock, Jeff Goldblum, Danny Glover, Patrick Stewart, Helen Mirren, Steve Martin, yeah. The animation is amazing. The musical numbers written by... also Martin Short it has. The musical numbers written by Stephen Schwartz are brilliant, especially the Plague song and When You Believe, which is my favourite. I even love the Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey version of When You Believe. The Hans Zimmer score is really good, and I think it should be one of the most popular animated films, especially when it comes to DreamWorks Animation's filmography. But number 1, we get to number 1 now, which is The Adventures of Tintin. Anytime people talk about action-adventure films from Steven Spielberg, what comes to mind? The Indiana Jones films, of course, which are like his best, or some of his best. But not a lot of people talk about The Adventures of Tintin, his adaptation of The Adventures of Tintin, which should be just as popular. I mean, it's one of the most underrated films ever, even for animation. I think the motion capture animation was done perfectly this time. And I really hope they make a sequel someday because I really want one so badly, but until then, I hope it becomes more popular. So yeah, those are my top 10 picks for movies that should be more popular. So tell me your picks for the movie. So what are your picks for movies that are well received, but they should just be more popular than they are? Tell me down in the comments, and thank you for watching, and may the force be with you.